r/askreddit. What is the dumbest argument you've ever been in? My wife and I once argued over whether or not I liked mustard on my hot dog. I was for me liking mustard, she was against me liking mustard. The argument lasted way longer than you could ever imagine it would. The amount of times I have been in arguments with people who think they know what I like better than I do is staggering. I confess I argue with my husband about things I swear he liked. He always ends the conversation with "you're thinking of your other husband." Haha, so here's the thing with my husband, I've been in this situation countless times. I could be making something, say a roast beef sandwich, and ask if he wants mustard on it. He would respond no, I don't like mustard, so I would file that information away and no longer offer him mustard for things. Then, one day, I would see him put mustard on his hot dog, and I would say "but you don't like mustard do you?" and he would respond, "I do like mustard, especially on hot dogs." This annoyed me, because of the specific time he told me he didn't. So then I would feel the need to figure out why. And after some digging arguing I would discover he does not like Dijon mustard or mustard on sandwiches but totally loves yellow mustard on hot dogs, and didn't feel the need to get specific the last time he said he didn't like mustard. I don't even go through this anymore. I just accept that his likes and dislikes are incredibly specific and I'm not going to try to keep track of them. I once had to argue with a woman in my life as a cashier if I was Jewish or not. She didn't ask me, she was telling me and got upset when I said otherwise. My brother and I argued if our staircase had 13 or 14 steps, based on an argument about if the floor of the second floor counts as a stair step or not. We still have no solution. My dad is a stair builder and I spent many summers working at his warehouse, so I can clear this up. 14. My brother and I resolved it by splitting the term stair and step. If there are 13 stairs, it will take you 14 steps to reach the top. My husband and I have this thing where we only say "I love you" on Saturdays. Every other day it's "I love you," but only on Saturdays. I don't know how it started, but it's been going for 11 years now. We're both shift workers, so sometimes we have to stop and think what day it actually is. We had an argument recently over whether it was Saturday or not. I said it was Saturday, he said it was Friday. It was Monday. I legit laughed. Have my upvote. I gotta say this is super cute. Good on you both. I remember when I was about 13 my parents had an hour-long shouting match that ended with them almost getting divorced. The issue? Whether or not the nation of Iraq has a coastline. Edit. Wow, I didn't expect this comment to get so much attention. And for all those wondering, it was my mother arguing that Iraq had a coastline, while my stepdad argued that it did not. This was back in 2004, and they are still quite happily married to this day. That incident is something they look back on and laugh about, and both of them admit it was really a pretty stupid thing to argue over. My brother's line for situations like this is a matter of research, not debate. I use that line a lot. I hope you bought them a map as an anniversary gift. With a woman who claimed at -2, -5 because, when talking about temperature, -5 is more cold. It's alarming that her analogy makes sense to me. What? Oh dear. What is this even supposed to mean? I argued that tuna was a fish. They argued it isn't. Edit. Got a lot of questions below. It was during university, for a class. They were arguing tuna is a type of canned meat, like how mince is for beef, lamb, etc. I mean that's okay, makes sense to not know, you can't know everything. But it was the rejection of evidence that made the argument stupid. Edit. Removed profession as it seems too identifying and I didn't explain the relevance. Had this in Paris at a hotel. Ordered a salad without the fish. The chef put the tuna on the salad. It actually took 3 calls to reception to explain the problem. He came up to my room red-faced screaming that tuna was not fish. Took longer than needed, but I got an apology, and knowing that my food would be tainted from that point on, I went out for dinner. The only time I've ever had a bad experience in France. Oddly. How much weed was involved in this argument? Tuna is actually a type of chicken. It says so on the can. Your finger is on my side of the car. Take it back. Well, your breath is on my side. Stop breathing. Culminates in both parties trying to breathe the other to death. Right alongside, stop looking out my window. Mum, make them stop looking out my window. My brother and I suffered many long car trips together until MP3S and Gamma Boy saved us. With an X. I owe you $80 for the bills of hours that you pay, and you owe me $40 for the bills of hours that I paid. Here's $40 in cash, we're even. She did not understand this. I literally had to go get another $40 out of the ATM and hand the $80 to her. Then I had her hand me the $40 she owed me. Now how much do you have in your hand? She still didn't understand. She somehow has a college degree. I had that discussion with my younger brother when we were like 5. He started crying. I just brought him to our parents, who explained to him why he was wrong. Today he is one of the smartest guys I know. Someone tried to fight with me over how to spell my name. Now, my name is in a lot of languages with slightly different spellings. I would have accepted any of those spellings, but this one was just not even close. It didn't make any logical sense. An analogous example is if my name was Thomas and someone was insisting it was spelled Tomash. And not just the name Thomas in general, but that me, on my birth certificate, was named Tomash. I swear to God, it went on for like an hour. Whatever you say, Tomash. Were you arguing with Sean Connery? Someone told me Brexit was about England leaving the UK. Ironically, it may end up making the UK leave England. The Scottish are none too pleased, I hear. That the other 98% of 2% milk is water. Edit, spelling. I surprisingly can't blame them. Like, that makes sense, if you didn't know the meaning behind the percentages. Which I'm looking up now. I'll tell you about the only legal trouble I've ever been in, the fight that got me arrested. It started over whether we should return a box of crayons or not, and to this day I don't have any idea how it escalated to the point of the cops being called, but they were and I was the one taken in. I'm going to need more info here. Return crayons where? How old were you? Who called the cops? Why wasn't the other person arrested? Were these regular crayons? Was it the big box with the sharpener? Astronomer here. I still think of the guy sometimes who insisted relativity wasn't real because he didn't believe in it. Like, that was his entire argument. When I explained the astrophysical effects we see, and how the GPS satellite system would fail within a half hour if we didn't take relativity into account, he was still all but it doesn't make sense. He had also never actually studied physics. Like, at least conspiracy theorists get pretty creative. This guy was just dumb. My girl believes she can divide by 0. This argument goes on now for more than a decade. Tell her to prove it. Then prove her wrong. When we were kids, my brother and I got in a physical fight because he said I like mini wheats and I insisted I didn't. His argument was that I always sang the Mini Wheats song and I was deeply offended that he wasn't aware that it was just stuck in my head, but I hated the cereal. I actually did like the cereal. I'm not sure why I was arguing with him about it, but I remember how genuinely angry I was. Is sex better in space or on Earth? Masturbation for men certainly seems a lot worse. If you don't have something to catch it, you end up living in an expensive lava lamp filled with your own cum. My ex-girlfriend was mad because I was reading books. She said it makes her feel insecure about her own intelligence. We were glad I dodged that bullet. A 70-year-old woman thought that hurricanes are named according to their gender identity. She thought they were male or female. She was right. Females rotate clockwise because women are always right. Males rotate counterclockwise because men are always wrong. Sarcasm. I had been a vegetarian for like 8-9 years. I now follow a pescatarian diet, think vegetarian plus seafood, for the last 10 years or so. All that time, I've had several people argue with me while discussing various diet choices that fish is not meat. I blame the Catholic Church and Lent. My boyfriend insisted that when two people are in an argument and one makes a point so reasonable and logical the other one can't disagree with it, it's unfair. I tried, logically and reasonably, to explain several times why that is just winning the argument and completely fair. His answer was that I was being unfair. Your boyfriend was meter levels of stupid. Once argued with a girlfriend saying 2 + 2 is always 4 and she was like, not always. If you use a quaternary numeral system, 2 plus 2 equals 10, but the value of 10 is still 4 in decimal, so maybe you're both right. A guy argued that woodpeckers peck to sharpen their beaks for attacking other birds. In vain. I tried to explain that woodpeckers peck trees to search for food and to create nesting sites. They also peck in rapid succession or drum on resonating metal or wood surfaces to establish their territory and to attract mates. That gal in class kept telling me Hitler the Russian guy and Stalin the German guy. She was right. Joseph Stalinman was the German and Hitlerovsky was the Russian. According to very reliable internet sources, they were both Jewish, and World War II was staged, filmed and directed by Stanley Kubrick in 1969. Is a dress blue and black or white and gold with my girlfriend? We passionately disagree. Spickagerol, it's blue and black. Whether or not Albert Einstein or Arnold Schwarzenegger would be more useful to have around during a zombie apocalypse. How on earth would Albert Einstein come in handy? I know, right? He's dead. It lasted for a week of just arguing about do you eat or drink soup. Spoon equals eat. Directly from the container equals drink. Who is more tired, me or wife? My former classmate couldn't comprehend the fact that Asians don't speak Asian. How the CH in masochism is pronounced. My friend caught me saying masochism while he would say masoesism. To be fair, he grew up speaking French, in which the CH in masochism is pronounced in his way. But he insisted that I was the wrong one here, and that shit's infuriating. That you could still be a vegetarian and eat fish. These two girls were persistent that you could because I don't know. I explained that it was just eating vegetables and not eating meat, full stop. These two agreed but continued to say that you could eat fish. In the end we got our teacher involved, who did like home ec, and asked. She was like, no you cannot, that makes you a pescatarian. They didn't even acknowledge I was right. Washing dishes. Double sink. Soap water in left sink, dirty dishes in right. Wash in left sink, rinse off above right sink. Grandma proceeds to tell me I shouldn't be rinsing the soapy water off onto the other dirty dishes. I say, what does it matter? If anything, the soapy rinse is helping a little before I even get them into the actual warm soap water. 10-minute argument. I lost brain cells. A woman was adamant that looking at the big solar eclipse on the television was unsafe unless you were wearing glasses. She wouldn't believe us and insisted on emailing NASA to check.